Hey everybody, Chris here from CodePen. I want to show you the 2.0 editor and how it can combine a bunch of different technologies to all work together to do stuff. So I'm going to add a bunch of CSS processing to this pen, kind of just for fun and kind of just to showcase how blocks work and how they can work together. So I already have Sass, which we'd refer to as a block because it processes code on this pen, and that's enabled on this pen just by virtue of having a file that ends in .scss here. So that's just automatically going to make sure that Sass is one of the blocks that gets processed. We can check out the output of the Sass by opening the build output here, and now this file turns into this file essentially during the processing. So I'm using Sass because sometimes I like just how it can combine CSS files. So I have these, I guess, partials you'd call them, with some typography, with some fluid type in here, a layout class, some colors that express themselves both as Sass variables and as CSS custom properties. Again, all just kind of for fun, showcasing a way that I like to write CSS, really breaking up concepts into individual files, knowing that they're going to get combined together into one file. And then our index.html file links up that file. You could write scss here too. Our linker is going to understand what you mean and make sure that that gets linked up properly, kind of either way. Let's add some processing. For one, I think I'm going to want Prettier. Prettier is a code formatter, and I just like how when I hit Command S or save my pen in any way, it just fixes formatting. So in case I'm sloppy and I have some weird indented code that doesn't need it to be that way, I can just hit save and it's going to make sure that that file gets formatted for me on save. That's just easy Prettier stuff. Now, let's add some more processing. We also have, if I hit add blocks here, PostCSS, I could add that. That's a CSS processor. No problem using both PostCSS and Sass. This CodePen compiler will make sure that they both work. And now I have a PostCSS config file, you see, that's showing you what PostCSS is doing. It's adding auto prefixer that adds vendor prefixes for older browsers if necessary. And then it's loading preset env2, which allows future feature usage of CSS and does the processing it can do there. But we also support, now if we look in PostCSS in the tab here, there's config. I click this to open the configuration file, but it'll tell me a bunch of other a little more esoteric plugins that PostCSS supports. Here's a weird one, PostCSS triangle, that takes this like triangle property and does some math with borders and stuff to make triangles back before, kind of before you'd use maybe clip path or border shape or something to do that, but it's still kind of cool to use, and it works in all browsers, pretty old and stuff. So that's what this is. It takes this triangle property. Now, if I just were to first let's make this pseudo element just show up, and I'm going to turn it into a triangle here. But if I uncomment this, it's not going to do anything. Sass is still running over it, and Sass is just going to be like, whatever, I don't know what that is, I'm just going to output it. If we look at the output for that thing, then it's just going to say triangle, which is obviously meaningless to the browser. We need to add that to our PostCSS config so it picks it up, which is not that. I can just type it out here. I'm just so used to using a clipboard manager. PostCSS triangle. And then that triangle is going to turn into a triangle because PostCSS is going to do whatever processing magic it does to it, which uses, different border widths on different sides and sets the color. And look at even the PostCSS preset env is even downsampling the OK LCH color to what it should be for older browsers and stuff. Okay, so now we got Sass going, we got Prettier going, we got PostCSS going. Let's add Stylelint too, that's a, not a code formatter, but a code linter, which is kind of cool. I'll hit add blocks up here and I'll just look for it, even though I just saw it, Stylelint, just in case. Now this is going to yell at me for stuff that it doesn't like in CSS. I'm actually not even sure what's going to find, probably too much stuff. Unknown rule use. Okay, it doesn't like that. That's just Sass and it fighting. Okay, well I can configure Stylelint though, can't I? Let's have it not complain about unknown rules then. So we'll look at its file. Is there something about, it's literally the first one. We'll say false there instead. So now it's not going to complain about those. It's just going to complain about triangle, which is funny. So we could say no unknown properties too. Or maybe we have to do it specifically for CSS, or is it going to be happy with that? Okay, so we've loosened up our linting, but it should still find problems. Like if we listed padding twice, I just hit Command-Shift-D there to duplicate the line. It's going to be like, hey, you don't need to do that. That's actually a problem. It's still going to process your code, but it's warning you about the problem. So that's nice. You don't have to use it, but it's there if you want to. So we got that going too. Let's add one more. We're still looking at the output of this CSS file, and it's pretty verbose, as Sass likes to call it. I can look at the config file for Sass directly in here. You notice some configuration files are in this CodePen folder. That's when a technology like Sass doesn't usually normally have a config file. It's kind of a CodePen-ism, so we tuck it away in there because it's not really industry standard, but it's still a nice way to configure it. We could say like style is compressed or something. With Sass, you can look up different Sass options there, but it's not going to do as good of a job as Lightning CSS would. Lightning CSS has a really powerful minifier built into it. So let's add that too. We can search for Lightning CSS. So now we have a lot of things processing our files. We'll open up its tab. I think it has a little bit of visual config. Yeah, if it's config that's just kind of like a Boolean or a selection of items, we try to make it so you don't have to edit the config file directly. You can just do this, which edits the config file for you. So now we'll have Lightning CSS minify it. So we still have the same output. We haven't affected the preview at all, but now our build output is going to be super minified, like the best in the business minification from Lightning CSS is on there. So pretty good. So now we have a CSS file that's, being formatted by Prettier, linted by Stylelint, even when it's SCSS. Sass is doing some processing. PostCSS is involved doing its weird thing. Just a lot of processing all put together. But that's the power of the CodePen compiler and the CodePen 2.0 editor is you can combine these technologies and you don't have to figure out how to wire them all together. The CodePen compiler does that for you. And if there's problems along the way, either warnings or things that prevent processing, we'll show you what's up, what line, what file. It really helps you code. So thanks for checking this out. Thanks. Bye.